Before sunrise, Burn Dairy and Deli is preparing to fuel your day with hot coffee, donuts, muffins, breakfast sandwiches, and other morning staples. For lunch, grab a giant deli sandwich made the way you like it. Pizza, wings, wraps, or a fresh salad. Plus, something to wash it down. Then pick up dinner or a sweet treat and other pantry essentials. Now you can get your Burn Dairy and Deli favorites delivered with DoorDash. All day, every day, you can count on Burn Dairy and Deli. It's all good.
Hi, this is Cal Ripken Jr., and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
It's the ML Sports Platter all over the major platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, and Deezer. Please do download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We are brought to you by Prestwick Golf, the Syracuse Fitness Store, Liverpool Physical Therapy, and Sit Means Sit Syracuse, the best dog training in central New York. They've got a host of locations across the country. Dave and his staff do an amazing job. Any breed, any behavior, any dog. Sit Means Sit Syracuse, the official dog training facility of the ML Sports Platter. Visit sitmeansit.com today for a free consultation. Tip of the cap, thank you as well to the Swan and Whitaker families for their support of the platform as well. Here we go, man. We are already 5 weeks into the NFL season. This is my full NFL Week 5 recap. We've got a bunch of 4-1 teams. We've got the Cardinals still undefeated. Let's get to all the games from Week 5. Let's go way back to Thursday, right? Last week with the Rams beating the Seahawks. I thought this was just a game in which Seattle doesn't look like they have it. I don't know what their deal is with, they used to be able to, with Russell Wilson even, being a magician, just get off the field right on third down on defense and then give it to Russ, and then he would convert third downs. And I don't see a lot of oomph in the Seahawks right now. I thought they got absolutely pushed around. And it's awfully hard, to be a quarterback and try to make up for, extra mistake after extra mistake after extra flaw after extra flaw. It's just very, very difficult. And the Rams are just a very, very good football team, and they're just a better team. And they went into Seattle and won that game. Seattle does not look right. They're not right at the line of scrimmage. They don't strike fear in you anywhere on the roster besides, two guys on offense. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, maybe Tyler Lockett on occasion. But, and I know that they've had, at times this year, they've had, an outstanding ability to still kind of get that old Seahawk feel back. But they're 2-3, and they need to win this week because that division, that NFC, it will not allow the Seahawks to get in with a with a shaky record like 10-7. It probably ain't going to cut it. Great game again by Matt Stafford, 25 of 37, 365 yards and 1 touchdown. Robert Woods finally got in the act. Thank you. He's on my fantasy team. 150 yards and 12 catches. Finally was targeted. Man, it's been the Cooper Kupp show obviously this year, but Woods got his. Darrell Henderson continues to provide balance in the backfield as a running back. Scored a touchdown, 82 yards on 17 carries. Rams 4-1, Seahawks 2-3. The Falcons beat the Jets 27-20 in London. Boy, I tell you, the people in England must be thanking the NFL for sending these two teams over, huh? Holy cow. The Jets are just bad. Period, end of discussion. This was 20-3 at the half, though, and I do give the Jets credit for battling back in the second half, but they just didn't have enough. And really what it comes down to is they just couldn't keep up with Atlanta's speed and weapons. That's the one thing Atlanta still has. Ridley didn't make the trip. They still have big-time players. They have big-time skill guys. When Ridley's in and back, obviously that'll just add more to it. But this was the Kyle Pitts coming out party. Every rookie at some point arrives in the NFL, at least a guy who we call a can't miss in the draft. Kyle Pitts was probably the best player coming out of the NFL draft in 2021. And, he just arrived in a big way overseas. 119 yards and a touchdown, 9 receptions on the day. Falcons 2-3, Jets 1-4. Wild game in Cincinnati. The Packers and Bengals in about, a 8-minute span, I think it was. It was about 7.5, 8 minutes. 5 field goals were missed back and forth. Ultimately, in overtime, it was Mason Crosby hitting one finally. I just give him a total pass for the day. He just had a bad day, and I think everybody's allowed to have a bad day. He's been a legitimate great kicker for them for a long time. He's been one of the best kickers in the NFL for a very long time. But this was, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Davante Adams. They were all unstoppable. And, I think the Packers are going to need to get healthy, in the secondary, Jair Alexander and company. The trade deadline here coming up, do you go try to get maybe a defensive piece or two? But I'm here to tell you, if their defense plays like they did against the Bengals, right? If they play like they did against multiple other teams since the Saints game in week 1, if they just play decent defense, if they just hit their spots, and by the way, I love Eric Stokes, the corner out of Georgia, who is paying immediate dividends for the Packers as a cover guy. But if they can just be fundamentally sound, if they can just play decent defense, the Green Bay Packers cannot be stopped on offense. I mean, they just cannot be stopped. Right now, the Chiefs, and we'll get to that loss against the Bills from Sunday Night Football here in a moment, but, a lot of people talk about the Chiefs' offense being the best. The Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, on and on, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay. And that's fine. They're really, 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 really talented guys. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been there twice. I get it. But can't we argue Green Bay is the best offense in football right now? I mean, you've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, two-headed monster at running back, who you can't slow either guy down. Davante Adams had a 206-yard game and a touchdown on 11 catches against the Bengals. And Aaron Rodgers had an 103 quarterback rating and a QBR of 68.8, and his rating was 103. 27-39, 344 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He did have the 1 pick. But, they will outscore you. Now, they only scored 25 points in this game, but good God. I mean, they're unstoppable. When Adams and Rodgers get going through the air and Jones is running it, good grief. Joe Burrow, not a great game, 2 picks in that one. Tough loss for Cincinnati. I mean, they had some easy chippies. They were 3-1 going in. This was a big game at home. The fans were into it. You have a Super Bowl contender in your building. This one really slipped away from the Bengals. That's a tough one. 3-2 Bengals, now 4-1 are the Green Bay Packers. ML Sports Platter brought to you by Stanley Law Offices and Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse. Let's move through. Vikings over the Lions. This was just a pathetic display again by the Lions. They're just so bad, and they just cannot get anything done. The Lions, they had the rally, and then, of course, in the last seconds, they give up the field goal and they lose. It's just so Detroit how they lose. Justin Jefferson continues to be a monster for this Viking team. 124 yards on 7 catches. He is unstoppable. Steelers 27-19 over the Broncos. By the way, the Vikings 2-3. The Lions have yet to win at 0-5. The Steelers over the Broncos 27-19. I called this game last week because this is the perfect Steeler win, where everybody's doubting them, right? Can you believe the team that beat Buffalo in week 1? I don't even recognize this team. They're losing it. They don't have any toughness. Big Ben Roethlisberger is slow, and the offensive line needs some work, and all these different. Their defense can't get off the field, and Najee Harris isn't. He's not going to be able to perform until at least late in the year. He's not ready. Mike Tomlin, can he still coach? All those things that people doubted about the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 3-week span. How you doing now? 27-19 beat a red-hot Denver team that was 3-1 coming in. Roethlisberger throws for a couple of touchdowns. He was solid. He was patient. Najee Harris had a 122-yard game on 23 carries and a touchdown. Wore down the Broncos' defense. I will tell you this. I love Courtland Sutton. I mean, I think Courtland Sutton, the receiver for Denver, he's got to be one of the top 10 receivers in the NFL, maybe even better than that. Chase Claypool had a great game, though, too. 5 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was an outstanding performance by him and by Harris. And Roethlisberger only threw it 25 times. I'm telling you, that's the Steeler way. That's the mantra right now. If you're going to win and you're the Steelers, you want to have that power running game return. You want to have possession receivers. Big Ben not have to go and try to win the game anymore. 25 to 30 throws. and be efficient in the red zone, and you're going to win games. And that's exactly what the Steelers did against the Denver Broncos. As I mentioned, Denver now was 3-1. Now they're 3-2. Pittsburgh is 2-3. Buccaneers absolutely murdered the Miami Dolphins. 5 touchdown passes for Tom Brady, 411 yards through the air. And by the way, you did that pretty quietly. Just too many weapons, too many great football players on Tampa compared to Miami. These teams now, okay, way different clubs. Okay, Miami's 1-4. Tampa Bay improves to 4-1. The Buccaneers look as good, if not better, than last year's Super Bowl outfit. The defense, by the way, starting to come around as well. I know they played, an inferior quarterback here, but they've won 4 games on the year, and their defense looks like it's getting a little bit better each and every week. We know that Super Bowl defense from last year really wreaked some havoc on Patrick Mahomes. Well, guess what? They're coming for you on offense. Okay, they are coming for you. They're coming for you with Devin White. They're coming for you with Shaquille Barrett. They're coming after you with Jason Pierre-Paul. They're coming after you Levante David. They're coming at you. I mean, that's all there is to it. Vita Vea had a half a sack. He's actually had a pretty slow start to the year, and they haven't missed a beat. So Tampa Bay is ferocious. They are absolutely one of the most complete, best teams in the NFL. You could argue them right now being the number 1 team in the league. Saints over the Washington football team, and boy, the Washington football team is a complete mess on defense. The defensive linebackers, middle of the field secondary, I've said for a few weeks now since they played Buffalo, I don't like that group. I did, however, until this past week, really like their defensive front, right? You've got Montez Sweat. You've got Jonathan Allen. You've got Chase Young. You have guys who can get to the quarterback, who can make life extremely, extremely difficult. However, they got manhandled in this game, and Jameis Winston played great. Not great, but 15 of 30 for 279 and 4 touchdowns. In fact, the game plan for him is very similar to Big Ben in Pittsburgh. Kamara did his thing. Callaway did his thing as they still wait for health to get back at the wide receiver position. New Orleans 33-22 winners over the Washington football team. Washington football team right now, man, they are letting in a lot of yards and a lot of points, and that defensive front, maybe they're just taxed already, right? Because they know they have to get to the quarterback because there's no help behind them. Saints are 3-2, Washington at 2-3. New Orleans is going to be one of the more fascinating teams to watch throughout the rest of the regular season. Eagles are now 2-3. The Panthers are 3-2. I thought this was one of the best wins of the week, with Philadelphia going in and literally punching Carolina in the mouth. Jalen Hurts, not a great day overall, but did enough. He was quiet, in the run game for the better part of 3 quarters, but ended up, kind of coming out there and scoring 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Devontae Smith seems like he's really getting used to NFL game and speed and opposition secondaries. This was a very, very nice win for the Eagles. I mean, this could have been a season saver for Philly. It could have really saved the season, honestly. 21-18, great job by them. Titans beat the Jaguars 37-19. There's just not a lot you can say about Jacksonville at this particular point. They are lost. Urban Meyer and that whole drama. Trevor Lawrence is going through some wicked growing pains, which is not unlike any other young first-year quarterback. Very rarely does a guy just, jump in and be Dan Marino. But this Jaguar team, there's just not, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel as far as 2021 goes. I think this is probably a 15-loss football team. I don't know if they'll win more than 1 game, but they're probably in that 14, 15, 16 loss area. And Tennessee is just too much to handle. I mean, the Jaguars' defense is so weak. You can't stop Derrick Henry. 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 29 carries. Yep, he's on my fantasy team as well. Ryan Tannehill was efficient. Didn't really put it up in the air that much. And, the Tennessee defense, like Tampa, has the potential to dominate you. They have the potential. I don't think they're a dominating defense, but they have the potential to. And similarly to the Packers, if they just get decent defense out of Tennessee, Tennessee's going to win a lot of football games, because that offense is absolutely incredible when it gets rolling. 3-2 Titans, 0-5 Jacksonville Jaguars. Patriots beat the Texans 25-22. Davis Mills was actually good in this game and a losing cause for Houston, but the Patriots did things in this game, and I know they played the inferior garbage Texans roster, but they did things in this game that showed me why I picked them to be a playoff team, right? They didn't play a perfect game. The quarterback on the other side actually had, a pretty good day, right? But the Patriots were on the road. They did everything and anything that they needed in terms of, fundamental football, ground game, controlling the clock, etc. They trailed on the road, fighting the adversity. They scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. Mac Jones made all the important throws when he had to. He did throw a pick in this game, but, besides that, was very efficient. And the Patriots just hung in there. And with that offensive line and with that opportunistic defense and with Mac Jones, if he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, New England can sneak into the playoffs, I'm telling you. And right now, that's a 2-3 football team. Had to have the win. Texans drop to 1-4. The Bears beat the Raiders 20-9 in one of the great surprises of the week, although now we don't look at it that way with the news coming down that John Gruden resigned. Clearly, they told him that he was going to get fired if he didn't resign. Just too much alpha, too much nonsense, too much ego, too much drama, too much money. Well, they're going to be on the hook for that for a long time. Just too much of that, too much personality with Gruden, and obviously those emails were ruthless. They were brutal. They're just slur after slur, and he lost his gig. I don't know if there's any possible way that he could have gone back in that locker room. I think the one that got him was probably the anti-gay sentiment, right, that he had in all those emails, and that was obviously an investigation on Gruden in conjunction with the Washington football team and Daniel Snyder and his sick acts. But John Gruden is out, and now the Raiders, they lost that game 20-9. I'm sure the investigation was going on during that weekend, last weekend, right? But the Bears played a very, very solid, interesting game. This was an ugly game, but they won 20-9, and they didn't have David Montgomery in this game, and Allen Robinson wasn't really a factor. So you're going, all right, rookie QB, Allen Robinson not a factor, David Montgomery is injured. How are we scoring? How did the Bears do this? And really, they just controlled the game physically, right? And from a field position standpoint, and from a punch-in-the-mouth standpoint. Similarly to the New England Patriots against the Houston Texans. That's how they won this football game. So it was a great win for the Bears. There's no doubt about that. 20-9. The Bears, hey, you know what? They're 3-2. Say what you want. And yes, I think Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are both clueless. But right now they are 3-2. They are 3-2. Raiders drop to 3-2 as well. Chargers home for the Browns and beat them 47-42. Nice win for the LA Superchargers. They scored 26 points in the fourth quarter in just a remarkable performance by their offensive stars. Justin Herbert is absolutely absurd. I mean, I don't know if we have an 18, 19, 20 game stretch like this to start a career. But he's been fabulous. He throws so well in tight spaces, throws the short and deep ball. Big rocket arm. He's tall. He's got the mobility in the pocket. His footwork is outstanding. He is fantastic to watch. He is such a joy to watch. He went for 398 yards and 4 touchdowns on 26 of 43 throwing, and Mike Williams with an 165-yard day receiving with 2 touchdowns and 8 catches. Just a remarkable job by the Chargers. And, oh, by the way, Brandon Staley in the third quarter, you're going for it on fourth downs. The game could have been over right there. And he's afraid of nothing right now. And I think that's rubbing off on that Charger team. He believes in his players. He believes that they can do anything. Well, right now, the Chargers are doing everything, and they are 4-1. The Browns fall to 3-2. Cowboys over the Giants 44-20. This is just a game in which the Giants don't have players. I mean, they just, Saquon Barkley goes down. Daniel Jones goes down. This is a couple weeks now of just constant, utter injuries across the board. I think 70% of the starting offense is gone, and the Cowboys have too much. They have too much Prescott, too much Elliott. Kadarius Toney had a great game for the Giants with 189 yards, but you got backup quarterback. You've got Saquon Barkley out. I mean, they don't have players, and it's a road game, and the Dallas Cowboys are also significantly better. And on defense, they're significantly better, and they're going up against an inferior Giant offense, missing people. So this is the result that was to be expected. 44-20, the Cowboys beat the New York Football Giants. A low-scoring affair in Arizona. The Cardinals beat the 49ers 17-10. This is, a situation where San Fran's defense played well, but San Francisco is injured, right? I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's out. Trey Lance was in. He gets hurt. Let's see what his status is here for Week 6. It was not an overwhelming game for the Rondell Moores and the DeAndre Hopkinses. I mean, he did have a good game with 6 catches and 87 yards and a touchdown, but this was just a basic game where both defenses really, really came to play. And again, much like a few of the other games we talked about, it was a ground and pound defensive game, opportunistic, hold on to the lead, kill the clock, control the line of scrimmage, and try to come out on top. And that's exactly what Arizona did. Sometimes you win ugly in this league. Sometimes you win ugly in your division in this league. And the Cardinals did check both those boxes in this game. 17-10. They're the 5-0 team, lone 5-0 team in the NFL. Right? I have that right. I'm just swiping up here quickly to make sure. I believe they're only 5-0 team. Yes, indeed, they are. I'm actually going to flip-flop the Monday night game and the Sunday night game because I want to end with the Bills beating the Chiefs, spend a little bit more time on that, and then get into the Stu Boyer interview from Bills Brawl to extend it. I'll tell you what, the Baltimore Ravens, I don't know who they are still. I really don't. But they won that game 31-25. They came back. They were down 24-9 in the third quarter, and halftime, and they proceed to score 6 in the third and 16 in the fourth, and then they win it in overtime with a touchdown throw. Lamar Jackson was out of his mind. He went for 37 of 43 for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he had 62 yards on the ground with 14 carries. Yes, if you do the math on that, ladies and gentlemen, you come up with a 502, 504, is it? 440, 440, 60, 500, 504, 504 yards on the ground for 504 yards total offense, I should say, for Lamar Jackson. He was absolutely out of his mind in this game, and his chemistry is getting better and better with Hollywood Brown, and that's a big reason why this offense is able to come back. They're able to score in the red zone. 9 catches, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Brown. And Mark Andrews is a factor. 11 catches, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Andrews and Brown, they're getting better because of Lamar. And that's one of the things we were waiting for with Lamar Jackson. Can he make other people around him better, and can he win in the playoffs? Now finally won in the playoffs, and now this year you're starting to see real cohesion, real chemistry, he's always kind of, I guess, been a leader, but you get where I'm going with that. He's making guys a lot better, and I think Brown and Andrews are doing a lot on their part too, on their side, but man, Lamar is just really impressive. Record-wise now, the Ravens, despite the fact that I have no idea who the hell they are, they're 4-1, and the Colts, that's a bad loss. That's a loss where, you're up and, you need that win, man, because 2-3 looks a lot different than 1-4, which is what they are right now. And it's going to be hard for the Colts to come back from this. It really is. Finally, the Bills beat the Chiefs 38-20. And, what's amazing is the Bills, it's always something with the anti-Bills, anti-Josh Allen narrative, right? It was week 1 overreaction. Josh Allen can't play against a really good defense, a really good defensive line. The Bills get pushed around. They're not Super Bowl contenders. They're home against the Steelers, an inferior team. They lose that game. The Bills aren't for real. Then the Bills win 3 in a row, and they only did it against backup quarterbacks. And, Josh Allen's still reverting to some of his old ways a couple of years ago. They haven't beaten anybody yet. Then they go into Kansas City, a team that's 2-2, but they're still Kansas City. They're still the trademark team. They're still the team you're chasing in the AFC. They have arguably the best quarterback in the NFL and the best player in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. Weapons all over the place, from Kelsey to Hill and everybody else in between. I understand their defense is no good. They have trouble covering people. The middle of the field they leave wide open, and they can't get a real pass rush in this season so far. And injuries don't help also, right? I mean, you had problems going to that game. Chris Jones has been banged up, but the narrative, the Bills, they haven't beaten anybody. Let's see what they do against Mahomes and at Arrowhead. Well, they stomped on the Chiefs. They beat him 38-20. Josh Allen was out of his mind in this game. He was great. 15 of 26 for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. Didn't turn it over, has yet to turn it over, knock on wood, in the red zone. And they balanced it with 121 yards on the ground. A little bit of Allen, a little bit of Moss, a little bit of Singletary. And Moss can, grind defenses down late in games. He can do that. And so this is a huge win for the Bills from a mental standpoint. They know that they can win against them now. They know they can go into that atmosphere and win against them. It was a big deal. They fought the adversity. The Chiefs, had to fight it too. But, the Chiefs the Bills, had to fight that rain delay, lightning, and all that with the momentum on their side. Probably wanted to just get back out there, right away. Chiefs, on the other hand, I thought they were going to benefit greatly from it. And I think they kind of did, actually, because, the tide was turning a little bit the Chiefs' way. And if you watch the entire game like I did, you'll remember that the Chiefs scored and made this thing in the fourth quarter early, 31-20. That's only an 11-point game against that club. That's not that many points. And the Bills then put together the drive of the year, 12 plays, 85 yards, 7:51 of time. Emmanuel Sanders with an 8-yard pass from Josh Allen. Just a spectacular drive and an unbelievable answer. It was great that Dable kept the pedal on the gas, right? Pedal to the metal, foot on the gas, and kept this Bills offense chugging. Because you're not going to win playing conservative. You're not going to win playing not to lose. The Bills went out and got a touchdown to cement the game, and I loved that about that drive. By the way, the Bills have 2 new X factors on offense. There's no doubt about it. Dawson Knox and Emmanuel Sanders right now are having fantastic years. Dawson Knox adds a touchdown to his season performance. He had 117 yards and three catches, and he was just getting free in the Kansas City secondary and over the middle. Dawson Knox is becoming a reliable target for Josh Allen. He obviously went to the vision school in the offseason. He worked on his game in other areas. He's a big 6'4", 6'5", 235, 40-pound ox who can just run and is also a great blocker. So he's very important to this offense right now, and Emmanuel Sanders is a big-time vertical threat. He had a couple of touchdown passes. A tremendous win for the Bills. And, oh, by the way, as you talk offense. How about the job the Bills did? How about the game plan on defense that the Bills did, rather? Leslie Frazier, his game plan was fantastic. They left 2 safeties back. Poyer and Hyde just would not allow the deep ball from Kansas City. They did not blitz Patrick Mahomes, and they rushed their guys up front. And they did what they needed to do in the middle and in the back. A.J. Klein stepped in and was very, very solid. Saran Neal was great. They mixed up so many defensive snaps, it wasn't even funny in this game. Taron Johnson, 12 tackles total, 8 were solo. The Bills had 2 sacks. Greg Rousseau had a sack, and Boogie Basham had a half a sack, and Jerry Hughes had a half a sack as well. So the Bills' defense was all over the place. A.J. Klein, great, replacing Matt Milano. Tremaine Edmonds was outstanding. He had a read on so many plays. Jordan Poyer is a man. Levi Wallace had a good game, and they controlled the Chiefs' offense to the tune of, Travis Kelce only having 57 yards and 6 catches and 1 touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 63 yards and 7 catches. That is what you call a win for the Bills' defense. They slammed Kansas City. Now the narrative is, well, the Chiefs aren't that good. Okay, well, let's just keep it going. The anti-Buffalo narrative. The Bills beat the Titans. The Bills hope to beat the Titans, I should say. And if they can do that before the bye week, I think they'll be the clear best team in the NFL. I think one more game against a top-notch AFC club or an NFL club, NFC for that matter, I think that would put them in the full driver's seat. I'm not sure they're number one right now. I haven't done power rankings lately. We'll probably attack that very soon in video form. But this was an outstanding win for the Bills. Brian Dable's play calling was great. Josh Allen was smart. He was efficient. He was great in the red zone. He was awesome and dialed up. He was on point. Read option that he ran in. I mean, he was within 1 second, he was in the end zone. I mean, he had complete and utter tunnel vision and saw plays before they were going to happen and checked down everybody and made adjustments at the line, slid when he needed to slide and not take hits. It was just an outstanding game out of him and all facets for the Buffalo Bills except special teams because Isaiah McKenzie did muff that play. The Bills come out with a big win. I mean, 38-20. It's a big mental hurdle for them. The penalties were absolutely asinine in this game. They were so stupid. I've read a lot of anti-Bills and Allen people about, well, Frank Clark, he made a tackle on Allen and it wasn't roughing the passer. Well, no, it wasn't. But the refs clearly had that as a makeup call. Why? Because Trey White did not have defensive pass interference. Travis Kelce was pulling his jersey down on the way, and White looked back at the last second. Shouldn't have been DPI. Emmanuel Sanders, an OPI that shouldn't have been called. He wasn't even close to interfering with his hands. The terrible hold on Mitch Morse, where Josh Allen ran for a third down. They got that called back, right? So, and Deion Dawkins got nailed for a penalty in the first half where he was just touching a guy. There are multiple calls that went against the Bills. They overcame that. They did get a break, obviously, I understand, with the Frank Clark call. But, and obviously, we know that also led to the hurdle of Josh Allen, which was some play. Some where Anthony Barr was just putting his head down going, yep, I feel you, man. But this was just a really great overall terrific win for the Buffalo Bills. And if you're a Bills fan, you got to be thrilled right now at the way they're playing. Dable on fire, Frazier on fire, the pass rush is coming in. You've got the run game to supplement the throwing game. And the Bills right now are really tough to beat. They're a really good team. And they got to keep winning. As Josh Allen says, stack wins. Because it's going to be really, really, really important to get home field advantage. The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, Stanley Law Offices, Welch & Company Jewelers, and our great friends at Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. If you're in and around Central New York, bring your dog to daycare today. Any breed, any behavior, any dog. Make sure you call ahead, see what's open, and they'll also take your pup in for a long weekend as well if you're going on a little excursion. Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare, the official doggy daycare of the ML Sports Platter. You can hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, and of course, download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review to this very podcast, the ML Sports Platter. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.